Hammonds, I will let you in. All right, good morning, everyone. Really appreciate you attending this session. This is Miss LaVonya Malveaux. She is the Director of Student Engagement, the Board of Regents Louisiana Office of Student Financial Assistance. So this is obviously her presentation on engagement matters. And so a couple quick points for you all. If you wish to activate the live captioning, you can select live transcript and then it'll show subtitles. And then just in terms of questions for this presentation, we will take questions for Ms. Malveaux at the end, and we will drop them in the chat and we will go from there. So if you have any questions, please hold them until the end of the presentation and we will move forward. And then once she is complete, I will put up the QR code to get some feedback from you all on this session. So with that being said, I'm going to mute myself and turn off my video and hand it over to Ms. Malveaux.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Maddox. Again, good morning to everyone. Just want to say I count it a joy and a privilege to be with you this morning to share with you the exciting work that LaVonya is doing throughout the state of Louisiana. I am humbled that you chose this particular session, trusting that the information that you will find it very beneficial to your work, to your task, that you are able to take it back to your individual institutions to further support and equip your students to and through their journey to becoming. So again, as Mr. Maddox has shared, my name is LaVonya Malveaux. I have the distinct honor of serving Louisiana students as the Director of Student Engagement for the Louisiana Office of Student Financial Assistance. Just a quick show of hands. How many of you all are familiar with LaVonya? I don't want to presume coming into this session, into this arena, into this environment, that you all are, knowledgeable of us and all the work that we're doing. But just, I see a lot of off-camera stuff, but just a thumbs up or whatever you want to drop in the chat. Let me know your familiarity with our work. Again, Student Engagement Division is our newest division of our program. And as I go into the presentation, these will be the areas that we're going to cover today, okay? I'm going to give you a little bit of overview of who LaVonya is and the awesome work that we are privileged to do. I'm going to give you just kind of run through some of our basic programs so that you can say, aha, I've heard of that. I'm familiar with them. Most of you might be equating us just with the TOPS program, but we do so much more. And then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the Student Engagement Division, just sharing with you a proof of concept that we are still developing. Again, Student Engagement Division has only been created and it's been in place only since actually 2021. And so we are born of and after and as the result of COVID. I'll give you a little bit more. And then as Mr. Maddox has shared, we're going to, at the end, field whatever questions that you may have. That being said, if you're ready to go, we're going to proceed. I think my first order of the day is telling you, again, a little bit more of who LaVonya is. If you're familiar with the Board of Regents, you're in higher ed, I know you are. Board of Regents, of course, is the governing authority of higher ed institutions in our state, whether it be public, proprietary, or private, 2-year, 4-year program. LaVonya, we are a program of the Board of Regents. We're tasked with doing programs for the Board of Regents there. Again, as I shared, we administrate all of the state scholarships and grants program. Of course, the college savings program known as the 529 START program. But what you're going to take away from this session is seeing that LaVonya's work is not just about administrating Louisiana's scholarships and grants and financial aid. No, there is a work to be done in the college access realm, of which LaVonya has undertaken that in its state governmental capacity. So what we like to do, start off by showing this video. So I invite you to watch. I'm getting a note that we have no audio, so I have my earbud, so forgive me. We're gonna make sure that we go through it. Appreciate the heads up. Let's try it now. Audio?
Not yet.
Keenan, are we good?
No, I cannot hear it either.
Okay, let's proceed. And I don't want to delay our time together with the video. I will drop the link for you and then we'll move forward, okay? Let's just give you the information there. So with the one of the first programs that we are administrating with the state of Louisiana, the newest ones, is MJ Foster Promise Program. This program pretty much aligns with our state's Board of Regents master plan to reach the goal of 60% of Louisiana's adult population having earned some credential or degree, okay? And this goal is being met on track. We want to reach it by 2030 to have that. So we're looking at growing Louisiana's workforce. Now you're gonna say, okay, how does it apply to my work with student athletes? To stay with me for a second there, because we do recognize that not all of your student athletes come on with a full ride. Not all of them come in fully covered with their cost of attendance, right? So these resources that I'm sharing with you could possibly just help you equip your arsenal of weaponry to provide further support to sustain your students, to help them retain them, and again, work towards completion and success, okay? And so MJ Foster Program, as I shared, is one of our newer programs. We are just wrapping up our first year of funding, and we give you a little bit more insight into it. If you're familiar with TOPS, in that TOPS primarily address those students exiting the secondary realm, getting ready to go into post-secondary, right? Well, with MJ Foster, it's been equated and coined to be the adult version of TOPS. Why do I say that? Because it targets the 21-year and older population, right? Our adults. And so some of the students I know with the transfer portal, with the extended COVID year, a lot of our students are having an extension of their college eligibility play, right? And so even with that said, the MJ Foster, if you're coming from a 2-year program like BRCC, SLCC, LSUE has an athletic program there. LSUE is one of those 2-year programs to which MJ Foster funding can be applied. Again, as you will see, it's mainly targeting our those 5 job sectors that have been identified as being very high demand, high wage. And so you see those eligible programs that are listed there: construction, healthcare, information technology, manufacturing, and transportation and logistics, okay? So if you are coming from those 2-year programs that are providing that, that would be the one up for your students being eligible for it. So as I shared, 2-year post-secondary institutions, they'd be private, public, or proprietary. Again, first thing they do, they must complete the FAFSA application. Just a heads up, FAFSA is going to be looking different for the 24-25 academic year. Right now, the FAFSA is being completed for the academic year of 23-24. But with the onboarding and the opening of FAFSA for this year, it's going to be delayed. Normally, FAFSA opens up in October. This year, it will be opening up in December. You might say, why? Anyone heard of the new FAFSA, the better FAFSA? It's part of the FAFSA Simplification Act. So FSA is launching that this fall. And so it's going to affect the go live date. But I share that with you because, again, first order of the day with students seeking to apply for the MJ Foster is completing that FAFSA. And then again, they proceed to applying to their college of choice there. I've already shared some of the qualifications of being the age limit being 20 years and older. Again, those 5 wage job sector markets. Again, just wanted to make sure and let you be aware of the MJ Foster Promise Program. Yes, the name implies it's named after our former governor, Michael J. Foster, who was a strong proponent of 2-year and college technical institutions, and he advocated for it. And so our legislators created this bill to support that. So moving forward, we are going to, and I just got a disruption with my notifications. Here we go. All right, another grant that we have is the Completers Grant. Yep, just as the name provides. I'm thinking, and you might know a student athlete who's near completion, who may not be on a full ride scholarship and may need some additional funds. This particular grant is about to exhaust, regretfully, but I'm thinking in mind with the summer in mind. You have a student that's coming into the summer semester that's nearing completion of his or her degree. You might want to consider the Completers Grant. The Completers Grant is initially designed to go towards the STEM field, but as it's unfolding, each institution, they create their own packaging policy. And so I would encourage you that you check with your financial aid office at your institution to see what their packaging policy look like for your students to be able to access the Completers Grants. I've directed many of coaches from the 2-year program and some of the 4-year to explore this option as an alternative to funding for their students. Again, it was part of the CARES Act. It was extended from last year's fiscal year, academic year. So it goes through September 30th. That's why I'm saying for this academic year, you might be able to get some dollars in for the summer semester if needed. So eligibility for the Completers Grant, Louisiana resident. Students must have had at least 90 hours of credit towards a declared bachelor's degree, and at least 30 hours of that toward their associate degree if they're pursuing that track. Again, it's all lining up with the Louisiana Workforce Commission, making sure that they're targeting those on-ramp credentialing programs and credentials of value. All right, and just moving forward with that, as I shared, students must be eligible to receive funds through the CARES Act, as this was the funding source for it. One more I have before jumping into our student engagement division, that is the Go Teach. With you being in education, surely you're trying to help Louisiana grow its pipeline of educators. We recognize that it's not a state, but it's also a national trend where there is a national shortage of educators. So the Go Teach Fund is the very newest. This fall semester was launched as a result of our 2022 legislative session. And as implied, is designed to provide scholarships to those students who are enrolled in a teacher preparation program or seeking some type of alternate certification program. And of course, those programs have to be approved by the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. Funding was approved, as I shared, to be implemented and available for September with the 22-23 academic year. And we have scholarships that are currently available for each institution, has its own allotment. It covers cost of tuition, those required fees associated with the institution, and then whatever textbooks and instructional materials a student may need for that respective course of study. The maximum of the award, what they will get, $5,000 annually. If they're in education, education major, or anything aligned with the education field. And that's you see the breakdown if you're on a semester system or if you're on a quarter base there. Again, this award is associated with one of those last dollar awards, kind of like the MJ Foster. But as a backtrack to the MJ Foster, there's legislation right now trying to change it from becoming last dollar to putting it more at the front end so students can access it if they are eligible for it and awarded it. But even with the Go Teach, this is considered last dollar. So meaning that if there is any remaining balance, then it may cover it, okay? Now, to access all of this information that I have given you, here's a QR code that you can scan, and it would take you to those programs that I've already outlined. And for more details and for sharing, you'll find some flyers that you can distribute or for use for your own resource knowledge. Now, on to why you're here. The Student Engagement Division. Of course, I didn't expect you to read this handout, no, but if you'd like a copy of it, I request that you go ahead in the middle of the screen, you see that QR code in the middle. It would give you a copy of this handout that outlines a proof of concept that I'm going to go into detail about the Louisiana Office of Student Financial's virtual student network groups. This handout provides justification of why LASPA created the division and what we're identifying and discovering very needed. The work that you do day to day in supporting your students is the work that we're doing at LASPA through our student engagement division here. So as we proceed on with this work, what is the mission and goal of our student network groups? We are here to address the whole needs of our students. Yes, we know the value of academic support, tutorial, the value of our career counseling centers, what have you. But as we've come through this other side of this pandemic, we know the value of social emotional learning, the need for students' whole being to be attended to, mentally, physically, whole mind, body, and spirit and soul being attested to, right? And so we're having as our mission, as our reason for being, how we assist in those students to persist through their identified course of study so that we at the end goal can have a skilled and competent workforce for Louisiana. You remember that strategic goal, strategic plan goal that I mentioned at the beginning from the Board of Regents of reaching 60% of Louisiana's workforce, adult population, having some type of credential that lines to that. So our goal, again, we want to support and encourage students that are going through select specific majors. These are just a few. We've added to many of them, but the Board of Regents have identified initially those degree fields that were most rigorous, most challenging, and difficult to retain students. Need I say nursing, engineering, accounting, finance, ITCIS. We've also added education to that because we want to grow that pipeline of educators, as I mentioned earlier. So that's our goals. That's what we provide that by addressing their psychosocial and emotional needs through a group and peer mentoring process. Of course, my words, I like to interchange that word of engagement and mentoring. But at the end of the day, traditionally, it's what we're calling mentoring, and we're doing it in peer and in that professional realm with other professionals, as you would see. So our objective, we're improving student well-beings through increased social supports. We're building and strengthening their connections with each other, that are other students that are in their same field, connecting them to professionals that have gone through the same pathways that they have, but are now on the other side to receive them as mentors, to guide them, to nurture them, to possibly give them, here we go, internship or apprenticeship so that they are one step ahead of getting into that skilled workforce. So again, the other piece is connecting our students with additional available resources, whether it be internal or external to campuses, what's in the community. A lot of our students are living off campus. They're needing that additional direct on how we can get to paying that rent, how to increase their food supply so there's no food insecurity, no food deprivation there, right? How to access those mental health counseling needs beyond what the campus may be able to provide as well. So all of this is intended, again, as I said, to address the whole students. So as I go through, I'm going to share now, how does the student network groups work? Again, COVID has taught us beautifully how we can subsist, exist, coexist, and connect, not just in person, but in this virtual realm. Look at LSU's Athletic Center, Academic Center for Student Athletes have shown us by their choosing to keep this offering virtual, that we can thrive and connect with each other throughout wherever we are. And so with the student network group, we used the Zoom platform to connect with Louisiana students on a monthly basis for 1 hour length, one night, where we connect them with other academicians within their respective disciplines that I've identified, connecting them with practitioners that are in their identified course study and in their field of study they want to pursue. They're gathering to connect with other students from Louisiana, from different colleges and universities, to expand their peer network outside and beyond. But again, their connect is same major, whether it be nursing, just reiterating it again, accounting and finance, education. These are all the current existing student network groups that we have available. So if any of the student athletes that you are counseling or are providing support to are majoring in these fields, this is the opportunity. This is why I chose to submit, to present, to connect with you further in your environment, to make you aware that we're here to help you help those students. And so we even have a group for high schoolers that are beginning to transition into. So the concept itself is very simple. Students connect and gather and share with each other best practices for learning, for succeeding, for how to tapping into resources, letting students know that they're not alone in their academic struggles or in their academic journeys, that they've been there, that they can share with each other. You know, the old adage, students learn best from among each other. May not all be fully informed, but nonetheless, they will heed to each other's advice, wanting to know what's worked for you. If you're that nursing major and you can't pass that TEAS exam, why is that so? What test strategies have you learned? You know, again, things that you may say, well, we already have that available to our students internally through your counseling, career counseling center. Yes, you're teaching them this, giving them, connecting them to other supports to provide strategies on time management, right? Again, additional support, additional encouragement. We've all learned in our years of living, we can never, our social support, our social support system can never be that small. It's continuously growing and expanding, right? And because LASFA has at its core mission that about, discussing financial aid, we do bring that to the table, giving students insight to what other financial aid is out there, reminding them to complete the FAFSA, to if they are TOPS recipients, how do they keep their TOPS, right? So this is what our network groups, how we function within them. A little bit later, I'm going to give you some engagement tools that we're using that maybe you can even take back to your own shop. So the work of our division, what does that look like? What have we been able to accomplish since May of 2021? Again, we became operational with that. This slide just reflects the work of our 4 initial groups. We're always looking to expand as the demand grows. Who knows, we might do a network group for student athletes throughout the state to connect with them. We were exploring, when the NIL was being launched, educating our student athletes about what the NIL is so that they can have informed decisions. So our content is always specific to those majors, relevant fields of studies. And so we're just excited about what we're able to do. These numbers are through February of 23, I'm sorry. And so we're still expanding, as you see, that we're still growing this new concept. Here's some screenshots of what we're capturing with our students. So to show the engagement, to show who attends and how we're doing so. Again, we only meeting with those students one night, 1 hour a month, because we recognize that their schedules are already filled. They're already at capacity, right? So many other competing events and activities going on, but this is just one alternative so that if a student see the need, they get it and they need that additional support, that sense of belonging, we can give them this through an alternative through our network group. One of our nursing students had used this comment saying that, look, Ms. LaVonya, I've learned that the network groups, I come in and I can come in and this is my middle break time is what she tells us. And so I said, oh, great. We'd rather you come in, Zoom with us one night, 1 hour per month for your middle break time before you have a mental breakdown. I cannot speak to and you all are aware of the trending stories across our great America, the landscape of the countless of incidents of students committing suicide, resorting to alternative drug experimentation, right? Here's another resource to support you too, and so that our students are not becoming another statistic, or needing to resort to some psychotropic medication just to cope and exist. As I shared, how do we connect? I mean, you can only do so much engagement on the Zoom space or any virtual, right? If you want to, you feel free. Scan this little code. It'll open you to a beautiful, what I'm calling a virtual flip chart. If you've ever needed a tool to engage with your students virtually or connect with them, get them talking, get them responding, and doing so in a safe way, in a safe, engaging way, non-threatening way, I introduce to you the Padlet. Padlet is nothing new. It's just one of those engagement tools that I wanted to share with you. So yeah, you can see some of the interaction that we do with the students. How do we connect? How do we inspire or evoke conversation with them? What kind of mental health check-ins do we give them? How do we see that if we're meeting their needs? How can we help them in their field? So if you care to, you might see some responses there. The students, they opt in and they respond anonymously, so there's no threat of their information being there. So just sharing with you one of our many weapons that we use in connecting and supporting our students with. I'd like now to shift gears and share with you some of the feedback that we're getting from our students. Annually, we do solicit. I want to hear from our students. So as we build on this proof of concept, that we don't think that, oh, we've reached the end, we've gotten to that. Ever look into a way that we can make it meaningful, making it impactful, that our students are definitely connecting with us there. So as you can see, our students come from a myriad of institutions. We have some from, again, 2 years, 4 years, UL system. We have some from the LSU system attending. We have even from our LCTCS. Our students are coming in, they're completing, and then they're getting connected onto their onboarding job career entry. The 2 employers that you see listed there is just exemplary of who we are connecting our students with. Again, LHC Group, it's a national corporation, a conglomeration of home health agencies. So yes, they're in the healthcare field, but they not only employ healthcare professionals, they employ accountants and finance persons, IT, computer information systems, because again, with cybersecurity, that the landscape cross sectors in various fields there. EBSCO is a global entity that spans, I think, 32 countries, and they are information systems, but they reached out to us once they heard about our network group saying, listen, we need to get connected with your students. So, in the converse of that, we're so accustomed to connecting students with employers through internships, what have you. But we know in this day and age, employers are wanting to get connected to our students. One of our state agencies, DEQ, reached out to us, say, hey, Ms. LaVonya, can you give us a list of your students that are participating in your student network group? Because they can't find engineers. And so again, the vast opportunities that if your student athletes majoring in any of those disciplines that I've listed and identified, they come into the network, they have access to these professionals in order to get that job. Again, they're not gonna be playing football forever. Many of them may not be going over to the next level, may not be going over to the NFL or to the WNBA or the NBA, so to speak. They may be going into the workforce and needing that handshake, getting ready to prepare them for their futures there. So how do they join? Again, this flyer kind of illustrates, we have 7 network groups that are currently active, meeting on a monthly basis. The QR code to the left will give you a copy of this flyer, and I encourage you to download it, add it to your little quick view, whatever you want to, bookmark it so that you can share it with your students that you encounter that are majoring in any of those areas that we have a network group for. We don't meet often, but students are wanting to connect with each other outside of our time, so we're looking to do so. Again, that's one tool. Just give you a minute to grab it. If you have not, scan it and lock it in. We're getting ready to share another QR code. Again, I'm not expecting you to see this calendar, but if you'd like a copy of that calendar, QR code it down, and you'll see how and who we connect with. Phenomenal people in the field. Some of them our students may never come cross their path with. And so we're bringing these professionals to them and connecting with them in so many ways there. Give you a few more seconds to grab that one. We schedule our network groups by the semester. So we are preparing to wrap up the spring semester. We have one more group that will be meeting in May. And then in June, we celebrate our students that are graduating, who are completing their degrees. We do a virtual recognition with them, a joint session with all of the groups, and inviting people that were influential along their path to join and celebrate virtually. And in July, we go into hiatus, preparing to gear up for the fall semester, where we'll produce another calendar similar to this one. So students are see in advance what they can expect if they choose to participate in a network group. Now, as I shared earlier, one of our 3 objectives is to connect students to resources and supports. How are we doing that? LASFA, along with several other state agencies, we have initiated and engaged with the 211 platform through the United Way of Louisiana. You might be associating, or if you're familiar with the 211 platform, it's usually used primarily when there's a disaster, natural disaster, and there's disaster response, disaster relief that is needed. A lot of community-based agencies post their services on the 211 platform. What we are doing with 211 is expanding what they primarily list, which is, again, social services programs. We're using this as our one-stop shop for education information to distribute, disseminate. What are those educational programs? What are those educational support services that students are needing? You know, so again, to meet students to and through, from cradle to career, what we're serving in Louisiana student population, we're finding those adults that are coming back to get those short-term credentials, those adult learners, non-traditional learners, they're needing to how to navigate and access those services. So if you were to go to LASFA's website, and you would find this platform there that we are making it a public facing search engine where students can find whatever their needs are there. As we prepare to close, I definitely want to share with you how you can follow LASFA, how you can connect with us. Again, we use a myriad of other engagement tools. These are just your more popular traditional social media websites that we're on. LinkedIn is not featured on this slide, but we're beginning to incorporate LinkedIn in our network groups so that we are encouraging our students just not to join Facebook groups or Instagram or what have you, or GroupMe. I know if you use GroupMe, our students are GroupMe out. They'll tell you, Ms. LaVonya, I do not even check it. I have too many GroupMes I'm in, so they may not eventually go there. So we, through the network group, listening to our students, telling us what they're needing and how best to connect. It actually, the idea came through one of the students, say, hey, let's do a LinkedIn group. I didn't even realize LinkedIn had a group feature there, but nonetheless, we are in the process of launching that for our students so that they can connect with each other outside of our 1 hour, 1 night per month meeting format. So they can share information across campuses, across, you know, various professionals that are there that might be joining as well. Just connect the students to supports, right? We also connect with our students through the Signal Vine text messaging as more direct messaging campaigns. We're one of our newer techniques have been something called the Quick, Q-U-I-Q application, where we send messaging quickly to our students that are in our contact list, just to nudge them and let them know about the services that are being offered through LASFA and about. We are delving into the AI realm. I see in this conference, in the summit, that we do have an AI session. And so we recognize that live human bodies may not be available 24/7. So let me introduce you to Lex. Lex is our Louisiana expert. She's our chatbot that we've had in place for about over a year and a half now. And we're steadily improving on Lex to make sure that she's able to meet the needs and answer questions of our Louisiana citizenry. And so in addition to Lex, again, I mentioned to you earlier about our website. There is our web link there and our serve for any questions that you may have about anything relative to LASFA. We do have virtual office hours from 9 to 3, where you can find someone available to maybe connect your student athlete that's on TOPS. They may have a TOPS question, right? We can be available to assist them through that. All righty. So as I close and we prepare for questions, I'm going to see if this is going to work. There's no audio here, but what I want to share this with you, I discovered this little piece. Going to get that to you. Once it clicks on that link, I'm going to go to another view of it, perhaps. There. And let's try this. All right, I'm gonna open it one more time and let you see it's not getting on my view here. All right, we should check these out before we start it on there. All right, here we go. Start a new share. And as I close, because we have time for you to take your questions. All righty. Check this out. I'm going to show it one time, but when you notice it, the heading, we're talking about mentoring, talking about engaging with our students. A great mentor, maybe with this thought, shows you how to do it first, so you know it's possible. I thank you for the opportunity to bring forth to you information about LASFA, most importantly about information about our student engagement division and our proof of concept student network groups. Given the information I've run through in this short time, it may have been a lot, but again, we are available to answer. So as I close, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Maddox for a question Q&A, I want to share with you this very quick, short video. Thank you all, and we can definitely go into the Q&A if there are any.
All right, any questions you want to drop in the chat and I'll read them to Miss Malveaux. Give you all a few minutes. And you might have covered everything so graciously, they may not have any questions for you.
I'm glad I was able to do so. Just again, thank you guys for your opportunity to present to you. It's about connecting. And again, when I've attended this format, this summit as a participant as well. And so I saw the value in it, and I was just so grateful that LSU accepted my proposal so that we can connect with you all in this space. Again, we are going to each university, each institution, and doing outreach, letting them know and making them aware about the availability of these network groups should their students decide to participate. So I thank you for choosing this session and for hearing my presentation. My apologies for the video, the audio at the beginning, but you know who we are now, right? Thank you.